our beautiful Royals of Africa. Mbolo. Hi, this is Queen Ngningone II. So, by the way, I spent an awesome, wonderful time with one of our daughter, Queen Dr. Tata of African Daily TV. It was amazing. The energy was amazing. All right. So I want you guys to go and subscribe to that channel. It's very it was uplifting for me. It was uplifting for everybody. And this is the energy we need to maintain around us when we gather. All right. Today I will share a personal story which I'm sure will help heal millions of you. Okay? So, in my family, so I told you guys I'm generation 17, all right? So once they already had migrated and everything, King number 5 went hunting one day. This was before the fall of our people. We already, were established as a kingdom. I mean, we had our everything. My uncle showed me our money, right, with the head of our original king and everything. We were our people. So King number 5, King Asamanvi, went to the woods with his brother. They were hunting, and they found 2 men, just roaming, lost on our lands. So the brother of the king told the king, they could be spies. We should kill them, right? And the king said, no. I mean, why kill them? They don't present any danger, right? And we are yet to know who they are and what they're running from. So the king told his brother, I keep one as a servant and you keep the other one. Now the king brother wanted to kill them straight up, right? And as I say in one of the video before, the number 1 requirement to become king, you have to have a pure heart. So the ancestors and God will choose the one among your kids with that heart quality. And if none of your kids meet the quality, they're going to look at one of your brother's house. Our crowns are things of purity. That power can be laid on, hands of hateful people, people who just would destroy people for no reason. No. Matters of crowns are a matter of God, are a matter of purity, right? So, King number 5, Asamanvi, took the boy, and his brother took the other one. Now, King number 5 had only 2 girls, right? He had only 2 girls. He wasn't a polygamist. This is all he had in his house. And basically, when he became old and stuff, he was preparing himself mentally, right, to give up the crown to one of his brother, because the ancestors at that time, they were not crowning women, because as you know, since us being the throne, when somebody from somewhere else come and sit on that throne, a lot of kingdoms didn't survive that way. So the son-in-law comes and take over. So at that time, it was high risk. And the women, if they happened to crown them, they had to remain single, for security reason, because, when you get married as a queen, as a woman, if you're not strong enough to let your husband know that we're getting married, but the children are the children of the crown, I belong to the crown, and so on, it's going to be a mess. So that's why some of the ladies and stuff who were crowned, they had to remain single. And another thing, the spiritual aspect, you bring your spiritual benefit. Now, in the wrong hands, the person can damage that entire kingdom. So that's why when it's a woman who's to be crowned, it's something a little delicate. They won't let or allow anybody next to you that they didn't handpick, because the unity of our crown. We share our powers. So if he comes because he's jealous and he want to bring your people down, and you have somebody like that married to the queen, it's a mess. So you see? So he had two girls. So he was preparing himself mentally, you know, to hand over the staff to one of his brothers who had, you know, many boys. But God and the ancestors told him that they have seen their future king in his house. So he was shocked. He was like, who? They said, the boy, the servant boy, the slave boy. This is our future king. So, and then God and the ancestor told him that from his lineage will come the one who will restore our people after the fall, because they already had received the prophecy. They had to unite or they were going to fall. And as the unity wasn't happening, the God of our ancestors loved us so much that he was already giving them the what's to come. You see, that we will fall and we will stay down for a long period of time. But from that slave boy lineage will come the person that will help restore our people. So King Asamanvi was like, oh my God, my brothers will never believe me. They will think that I'm trying to uphold the power from them. So, and you know, matters of the crown, when they have chosen a king, 3 people should be notified in that clan. The priest is one, the king himself, and another family member, right? So the priest also already had the 411, that the ancestral staff is not leaving King Asamanvi's house, because the future king of our people is right there in his house. He may not be blood, but as far as God and our ancestors are concerned, any servant who comes to your house, who comes under you and stuff, they shouldn't serve you for more than 7 years. They can only serve you for 7 years, and after which you give them a sum of money, you give them something of value for them to start their new life as a free man or a free woman. And in the event they don't want to part from your family, you adopted them. So in the eyes of God and the ancestor, he's a child, right? So the priest got the message. The priest told the king, listen, I heard from God that contrary to what you were already thinking, that the staff will go to your brothers, the staff is to remain in your house. For in your house, they have seen their future king. And he's going to be so instrumental for our people, because from his lineage will come the one who will help restore our people. So, needless to say, when the king was now about to die, they gathered the elders and everybody. The priest had to say, you know, the king himself had to say to who he's handing over the staff. So the king said the staff is going to Edaglasam. Okay, king number 6. The priest said, I received the message from the ancestor and the confirmation of God that this is our future king, and it shall be so. Because anybody we adopt becomes us. So not only we adopt him in the physical, but in the spiritual, he becomes also one of us. As I say in previous video, the division, right? The king's brothers were like the hell to the no. Now, these are people who are born under that crown. These are people who know that the crowning things are a matter of the divine, are a matter of the creator God and the ancestors. So they went against it. They're like, no way, the hell to the no. We will not be led by a former slave. So they broke the kingdom. One of the king's son, okay, went to an area called Port Gentil. It's where they drill oil in Gabon. Went and started a settlement there. And when they usually, royal families, when they used to break apart and stuff and go and, they will go and start their own, the stubborn one, they will go and declare their own kingdom somewhere. So one went to Port-Gentil, and another one went to the north of Gabon called Minzik. So the two brothers, each one were like, okay, now that we're gonna have slave ruling us, this can't happen, the hell to the no. So they left, right? So, and sure enough, 2 kings after him, we fell. But our kings were able to preserve the royal family. I mean, they got very strategic and trying to stay alive. They will marry a woman from another tribe, tribe who wasn't, for example, hunted down, stuff like that, or smaller tribe, and they will have children there. And that one would not even be identified as one of their wives. She will just keep quiet and be there. So they found strategy to stay alive. And our kings then, after the fall, we lost many, like I say, we lost 11 generation. Most of them were taken through slavery, because what they used to do once they defeat a king, those king brothers, I mean, once they capture their son, they will surrender. So we lost a lot of crown royals like that. They will surrender to accompany them. Some of them just couldn't leave, fact, because those who had the invisibility shield activated, got away and stuff like that. But I won't hide to you, many committed suicide. The thought of having lost their people, they felt that they didn't deserve to live anymore. All right. So, so basically, my ancestor was able to preserve, because that was the key. We still had to multiply. We had to keep on having children. We were under the curse. Our kingdoms had fallen. Our kingdom have been conquered. So we had to do everything, we could do to hide. But after a while, those who left realized things were not working for them. Things were not working for them anymore. Many of them, their wives became barren. I mean, they would go through years without celebrating a birth. Their activities were not working. Their crops were not growing. They saw sign, right, that the power stayed behind. So it's only at that point they came and met with our kings, asked for forgiveness, and made peace, just so that our king could bless them, give them the ancestral blessing, and open up doors for them to live at peace and stuff. But none of them ever came back to live with us. But they were now convinced that the decision of the ancestor was true, because by looking at us from a distance, I mean, they knew we had it. They knew. I mean, they saw our children. I mean, they would talk about, the descendant of the slave, how beautiful they were. They knew these were royal beauties, children of kings and queens and stuff. They're modeled by God. These are divine beauties. So they saw all the signs. Our daughters will marry bosses, stuff like that. They're like, whoa, they got it going on. So they came back and asked for forgiveness. All right? So I'm a direct descendant of that slave boy, the one they found wandering in the woods. But just like I told you, the matter of African crowns are a matter of purity. A king can be a hateful person. A king has to be someone who's humble enough to surrender everything to God. He's mandated by God. Whatever move he makes, God has to order. Because at the end of the day, everything falls in the plan of God. Even the things we're complaining about today. But if you go back 3 years later and now you're in a whole different situation, you will understand that even that struggle had a purpose in your life, So, and to bring it back to us, the prophecy was that is his descendant that will help restore our people. So his descendant is sitting right here in front of you today. So basically, to bring it back to us, I am 17th generation from that crown that a non-blood relation inherited. All right? So from king number 6 on our chart down, we all the descendant of that slave boy. And for God and the ancestor to choose him is because he met the qualification of a king. He had a loving heart. I'm sure he was amazingly handsome, all right, because kings are they have the beauty of God. So I'm sure he was handsome. I'm sure he was righteous. I'm sure he was patient. I'm sure he was selfless. I'm sure he was courageous. I'm sure he was brave. He had all the things. But above all, he had the heart to be selfless, to be of service to others. So it's just like I said in one of the other videos that our identity is tied to our spirituality. So you see how the blood children didn't meet the qualification of being crowned king, but the outside blood under their care did. And in the eyes of God and in the eyes of the ancestors, it had to be honored. So when they broke off, the priest stood by the slave boy. The priest said, I have to do this. I have to say it just like God and the ancestors are mandating me. So you see, at the end of the day, it all makes sense because God and the ancestors figured that it will come, it will take a descendant of a former slave that he has rose to a crown of that kingdom to come and set free the other ones. So today's message is very important, is to let you know, for those of our children who think that their kidnappers will all of the sudden try to level up the field for them, are mistaken. Because once a slave, always a slave in the eyes of your former masters. Okay? So that's why, you know, God and the ancestors told me how we need to organize this return. I know when I insist on adoption as the best way to bring our children home, because Africans know what adoptions means. So when we adopt you, you know, we adopt you outright. Even our spirituality becomes yours. If we have a crown and our blood children are acting a fool, guess what? The ancestors and God can crown you because you're one of us. All right? So that was it for today's message. I hope many of you will find healing in it. And it's to even bring it back to our forefathers. Like I was able to explain, a crowned king, a divinely crowned king, cannot sell his own people. God and the ancestors, we have a system that is a no-nonsense system, because our crown are not like the European. The Europeans is like, okay, the firstborn has to be crowned king automatically. But our system acknowledges that sometimes the firstborn may not be fit to be king. Okay? So let's not, the problem is like many of our children have believed the story that our people back at home sold you. It's sad that many of our children, whether they like it or not, look at them as parents. But I'm here to tell you folks, they are not your parents. They're your kidnappers. That's why a lot of us are still thinking that they can give us any solution. So it's to let you people know, my dear Royals of Afrika, that once a slave, always a slave in the eyes of the former masters. Our job needs to be to mending our two sticks. Like I said, when they used to conquer a king, they will break his staff. Symbolically, it means that that kingdom has fallen and they could do whatever they want. So they did that not only on on that artifact and stuff, but also they did that physically. They took a bunch of you away from us. So in order for us to ever have any form of rulership, that stick needs to be mended. Our stolen one must return. Period. Okay, my precious royals.
Galunchugu, galunchugu, ah.